Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video. Today, this is something that I've wanted to discuss for quite some time, and this is going to be a new series on the channel. Maybe if people really do like these kinds of videos, I'll definitely make more of them. And that is a what I used to like series, or what made me love insert something series. And I'm going to be talking about the very first thing. I'm going to be talking about what made me love Alexa Bliss. I'm talking about Alexa Bliss here, so I hope you guys are ready and you guys are going to enjoy. So anyway, let's begin. So you guys know that I used to adore Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss was someone that I used to really adore a lot, and now she's someone I just don't really like anymore. And normally I record through my phone because that's been my thing now, because people can actually hear me. But I decided to do it through my laptop, and I'm hoping you guys can hear me, and I do have music in the background, so I don't know if you guys can hear the music or if you can hear my voice. My voice is normally pretty quiet through the laptop, but I'm going to try and speak as loud as possible so then that way you can hear my explanation. So anyway, So let's talk about Alexa Bliss. What made me love Alexa Bliss, and then when did the whole decline about my love towards Alexa Bliss change? Well, since I need to go into full details about this, I need to go through not her whole career, but just majority of the things. She began her career as a lovable fairy that blew pixie dust, and honestly, I don't know why many people didn't like the gimmick. I personally liked it. It was kind of like a good opening gimmick for someone like her. It's like a generic babyface character to start your career off until you find something that fits your character, something like that. Like Sasha Banks, like she was a generic lovable babyface in NXT, and then she became the legit boss that we all know and love. So I feel like the Pixie Fairy Alexa Bliss was kind of like, just a temporary gimmick until, she got comfortable. But when I saw Alexa Bliss with that character, I found her really cute and very adorable. And then she went through the heel turn phase when she joined with Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake. I heard stories on Chris Jericho's podcast. I don't know if it's true, but I believe she said it on there. She said along the lines of that she didn't feel comfortable being a heel because she's such a likable person in real life, but she embraced the heel role pretty well. That's what I believe she said on Talk Is Jericho. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I believe she did say that. And then she got called up in 2016. She was known as the Five Fists of Fury. So I'm going to be going through gimmick by gimmick for Alexa Bliss. So, first I adored the Fairy, and now she's the Five Fists of Fury. For some reason they call her the 5 Feet of Fury, but Five Fists of Fury sounds, more accurate. She punches more than she kicks. At least from what I always see when it came to her ring style. But, yeah, she got called up in 2016 in the draft, where they did the brand split. And then in December, she won the SmackDown Women's Championship pretty early in her career. So she was called up around about July. And then we go to December, August, September, October, November, December. 5 months into her career, she's already a champion. Now, I didn't mind this. I didn't mind it at first because, it's their way of developing a new star. Like, hey, Charlotte Flair won, a title within 2 months. So I guess that's fair, I suppose. And then she dropped the title to Naomi, and then Naomi relinquished the title due to injury. Alexa won the title back, and only to drop it back to Naomi again. And then she got drafted to Raw, and this is where things start to go downhill. Just slightly. Things go downhill a little slightly here when she moved over to Raw. When Alexa got moved over to Raw, this is when she became the character that we all know and love her for. The Goddess character. Now, immediately upon her arrival, like 1 month, like not even a month into her arrival onto Raw, she's already the Raw Women's Champion. So, think of it as this, like she's like about 7 to 8, 9 months into her career, on the main roster, and she's already won 3 championships. She's already won 3 big championships on the main roster. She became the first woman in history to hold the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. Funny how they never acknowledge that accomplishment anymore, but, you know, it's funny how they never ever mention how many people have won both belts now. It's now like, oh, it's like when Alexa Bliss done it, it was a history-making moment, now never mention it again. But anyway, Alexa went on to have a long run, dropped the title to Sasha Banks at SummerSlam, which a lot of people didn't think Sasha was going to win. And then we get to the infamous Raw after SummerSlam match between Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. And oh my god. This is where things started to go down a bit. Go down a slow hill for me when it comes to Alexa Bliss. She wins the title only after a week later. Sasha wins the title, has an 8-day title reign, like basically a whole week. And then Alexa Bliss wins the title back. And then she goes on to have another long, lengthy run to WrestleMania to drop the title to Nia Jax. Now, by this point, she's basically now a year in her main roster run. 4 championships in her first year. Basically, 4 championships in her first year. Some will call that impressive, but let's not forget, people started to resent Charlotte Flair for constantly winning championships. And I started to feel that way for Alexa Bliss. Resentment. For someone that I adored, I started to resent her because she was she was always the champion. Like, they wouldn't let someone else have a turn. You know what I mean? So I started to feel resentment towards Alexa Bliss. I still liked her, but I still liked her, but I started to resent her a bit more. If people who have never been a part of my channel when I originally did review this episode of Raw, if you guys have not seen my review of that episode of Raw, it's in my Raw reviews listed somewhere. It's on there. I believe the thumbnail is the Alexa Bliss Sasha Banks graphic from www.com. So I believe that was the graphic. For the I believe that was the thumbnail for the video. So if you haven't seen that, be sure to go check that out. But I could also always link it. I could always link it down below as well. I could also link it down below as well. So yeah, my resentment started to grow towards Alexa Bliss. So then she dropped the title to Nia Jax. And I believed by this point she needed to be out of the title picture. Alexa Bliss. By this point, I felt like she desperately needed a break. She needed to be out of that title picture for a long time. She needed to be out of that title picture for a long time. Four championships in her first year. To me, that didn't sit right with me. So I felt like by this point, she needed to be out of the title picture. But only then, things were just going to get worse. People have always complained about Charlotte Flair always winning championships and all that, and how many accomplishments and how many championships she wins so much into her career. Well, Alexa Bliss decides to win Money in the Bank in 2018. This time, they give her the Money in the Bank. just when we all thought she was out of the title picture, she grabs the Money in the Bank briefcase. And if my memory serves me correctly, around about this time, I predicted that Alexa Bliss was going to win Money in the Bank, because a part of me knew that she wasn't going to be out of the title picture. And secondly, you guys may say, oh, well, this is probably just going to be another level of my resentment towards Alexa Bliss. Yes and no. Because by that point, Ronda Rousey was in the company and she was challenging Nia Jax for the Royal Women's Championship. At that point, by this point of my life, when it got to this particular point, you guys can check the review, because I did review that year's Money in the Bank. I believe I said along the lines of, I would much rather Alexa Bliss as my champion than Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax. So Alexa did end up cashing in. So I was like, okay, I'm glad Alexa's champion. So yeah, despite me starting to show my resentment towards her, I was actually glad she became champion, because I didn't want Ronda or Nia champion. But that was only when I realized Alexa was basically doomed. Her winning the title basically spelt the end for her, which it was. At SummerSlam, she got squashed by Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam. And then it was by that point, she was out of the singles championship picture as we know it. She's now been out of that title picture for 3 years. But that doesn't mean she's not going to be winning any more championships. Now I've heard some people, get a bit upset at The Miz for being on TV while being injured. But when Alexa Bliss got injured by Ronda Rousey, she was still appearing on TV doing Moment of Bliss segments. So if you're going to get mad at The Miz for being on TV while having an injury, but yet you're okay with Alexa Bliss doing the exact same thing, to me that's bandwagoning, and that shouldn't be necessary. But yeah, Alexa Bliss was injured, and she was doing Moment of Bliss segments while she was injured. And then we fast forward to 2019, she wasn't doing a whole lot, and then we get to 2019, where she won the Women's Tag Team Championships with Nikki Cross. Just when we thought we could actually have a damn break from this woman as a champion, WWE still find a way to give her a championship. So, she's now at like 6 championships by this point and a Money in the Bank. And she's only been on the main roster for about 3 years by this point. You can kind of see that maybe my resentment towards Alexa Bliss was really starting to grow a whole lot more. And then she won the Women's Tag Team Championships again in 2020. And that now puts her at 7 championships. She's now at a total of 7 championships to where she is right now. And the whole Goddess character then started reverting as a babyface, which I personally did like. I did like the babyface variation of Alexa Bliss. But my resentment towards Alexa Bliss winning championships is what made me start resenting Alexa. I felt like giving her championships so early on was a bit unnecessary. I felt like she should have started winning championships by 2019. Actually work your ass off to win championships. Naomi didn't win her first championship until 11 years. I felt like Alexa Bliss needed to earn her championships. To me, I felt like they were just being gift-wrapped to her on a silver platter. Like, yes, Alexa has had some good matches, mainly with Sasha Banks, but I just personally just wasn't happy seeing her just winning championships all the time. That's kind of what started my resentment towards Alexa Bliss. But my true resentment for her started when she joined with Bray Wyatt and started the whole Fiendist character. When that started, that's when I just really started to grow bored of Alexa. And yes, you probably would have guessed it, my breaking point with Alexa Bliss just came when she started feuding with Randy Orton. That's when my breaking point with Alexa Bliss came, and that's just when I started to full-on hate her. And then the whole Lily character, Lily Lexi, started, and that's just when I finally had enough of Alexa. I just didn't care for her anymore. So, that's kind of where I am right now. I went from adoring Alexa Bliss to absolutely disliking her due to pure resentment towards her. It has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with people that I know. It has nothing to do with my friends constantly talking about her all the damn time. It more came down to the booking of Alexa Bliss. It really came down to the booking and how I personally felt about Alexa Bliss. I personally feel if WWE didn't push her so hard and push her so strongly, I personally still would have loved Alexa Bliss. Now, I know some of you may think this is probably the most stupidest reason to not like someone, but I get the same thing about Charlotte Flair, how, oh, she always wins championships. I resent Charlotte Flair. I can't stand Charlotte Flair because she's always in the title picture. If people don't like Charlotte Flair because she's always in the title picture, and me not liking Alexa Bliss because she's always in the title picture, it's the same thing. I grew resentment for her because she was always winning championships. Now, yes, she hasn't won a singles title in 3 years. You would think maybe my resentment would kind of start slowing down and maybe my love for Alexa would start growing again. I would agree to that assumption if she wasn't Lily Lexi. You guys know how much I absolutely despise the Lily Lexi character and how much I do not like the character. If she was still the goddess through that whole period, then maybe I might have started to feel bad and maybe start liking her again. But because she was Lily Lexi during this whole period of this 3-year gap away from her being champion, yeah, I was more at the point where I was like, you know what, I don't want her champion till 5 years or 6 years. Or, I don't want her champion until she's the goddess again. That's kind of where my mindset kind of went towards when it came to Alexa Bliss. Now, I want to tell you guys this. Do I want to like Alexa Bliss again? Do I want that old love that I used to have for Alexa Bliss back? Yes, I do. I do want to feel that love for her again. I do want to go on to social media and tell people how much I love her, how much praise I would give her, and all that stuff. Like, I want to feel that love again. I want to feel that love again for Lexi. But there's just something about it that's just holding me back. Something about her is just holding me back from ever feeling that kind of praise. Something is just holding me back. I'm not blaming friends. I'm not blaming people I've met on the internet. I'm not going to putting any of them down. I more blame Vince McMahon and how he booked Alexa Bliss. I'm more blaming the creative and how they booked Alexa Bliss. I just don't want to see her champion anymore because of how long I've had to tolerate her champion for every single year. I want to love Alexa Bliss again, but I don't know. I just think it may never happen. I just don't think I may ever love this woman again. I used to love her. I used to cherish her. And to be honest, she used to be one of my top 3 favorites. If you don't count Australian wrestlers, she was in my top 3 favorite women's wrestlers. Sasha Banks was number 1. Charlotte Flair was at number 2. And Alexa Bliss was like the third best. Like, if you don't count all of the Australian wrestlers, if you count non-Australian wrestlers, that was my top 3 list. So, thank you all for watching this video. I hope you guys understand and where I'm coming from here. And I hope you guys all understand. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that thumbs up. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. And if you do like these kinds of videos, I will definitely do more. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you all next time.